in the ShelbyTV studios today with Mark HACKEL, who's running for re-election for the post of Macomb County Executive. Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Melanie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excellent. So why don't you start out by just telling us in a few words, what your educational background and professional background is that make you the best candidate for this, and a little background about, how you started out here in Macomb County.
Anybody who knows me, who's listening, knows a few words is a very difficult thing for me to kind of keep concise. But the reality is I was born and raised here in Macomb County as a kid, growing up through public education. Went to Warren Consolidated Schools, graduated there, never missing a day of school was my claim to fame. I wasn't an all A or B student, but the fact that I never missed a day of school was very interesting. Not something I planned on doing when I was a little kid, but educating myself. Went to Wayne State University, got my my bachelor's degree after an associate through Macomb, and then went on to get a master's degree in public administration, all while I was working at the Sheriff's Department. Started off as a dispatcher and worked my way up through every rank, deputy corporal, sergeant, lieutenant, captain within the department. Ran for sheriff in 2000, was elected by the people. Very much enjoyed that job. Did that for 10 years, in total 30 years with the Sheriff's Department. 10 of it as the elected sheriff, and then this new role of county executive came upon us as a vote of the people. 2010 I ran for that and was the first ever elected county executive, and have maintained that position for the last 7, almost 8 years now. So running again, this will be the third term, and it was a challenge internally for me to kind of get an understanding of walking away from something I truly had a passion for and a love for, and that was police work, law enforcement. I really enjoyed it. Doing this, you try to push away on the political side of it and just get to realize, this is about trying to figure out how do you provide opportunities for people in so many different ways. So been a great learning experience, but one that I've truly enjoyed, because I think the whole sense of this is trying to figure out how do you make people really feel proud about this place they call home. What is it that they truly enjoy, whether it's raising a family, coming here for enjoyment purposes, or having a business and trying to figure out how they make that business grow. So I've enjoyed it these past 8 years as county executive, and that's the reason why I'm running again for my third term.
Excellent. And if you had to pick one thing that you think is the most pressing need for Macomb County right now, what would that be? Well,
there's no question about it. It's infrastructure, talking about our roads. I mean, there are many issues. Again, not to discount the others, but you're asking for one. With the educational system, talking about, mental health, substance abuse. Without question, roads are a big concern for us, and one that's been defunded for so long. The question becomes, how do you come out from underneath that? What do we need to do? It's about funding. If we have the money, we'll fix the roads. We're going to continue to do that. I think the one that's probably going to stand out the most is probably the most problematic road we had was Mound Road, and again, it was a $200 million fix. Nobody knew where that money was really going to come from. State, local, is it going to come from the feds? We fortunately were able to put forward a pretty good, if you will, plea to the federal government, and they come up with the money. So the point is, if we have the money, we're going to fix that road. That road is going to be transformational. One of the worst roads, probably not only in the state of Michigan, probably the country, is going to be transformed in one of the most economically advantageous roadways, and probably with technology available on it, than anywhere else in the entire country. So from worst to probably the best in the entire country, all because we have the funding to make that happen.
And I know Innovate Mound is that whole initiative was a huge success. What would be your other biggest accomplishment that you can point to in your years as county executive?
Getting the county to realize, it isn't just an anomaly. It isn't just something that's out there. What the county is a responsibility to try to figure out how do we look at the 27 distinct, unique municipalities, incorporating whether it's Sterling Heights, Shelby Township, and Utica, but there are 27 municipalities that make up Macomb County. How do you bring them together, allow them to continue their uniqueness, but work with the services we have available to help assist them in whatever way it might be, whether it's about roads, whether it's about economic development, whether it's about health and human services, whatever their particular needs are, how do we help them become better as a community, but still maintain that existence that they would like to, and the, identity that they currently have. So the outreach we have with our staff has been absolutely incredible, and it's getting people to trust us that we're there to help them, not to try to figure out how do we take them on or challenge them in a negative way, but to try to figure out how do we challenge them in a positive way to help them grow their communities. And I tell you, just watching what goes on with our staff internally to make that connection, local level, not only county level, state level as well. It's really, we've come a long way in just 8 years.
When you are talking to the residents and getting feedback from them, are they sharing, obviously roads, we do hear that a lot. What other issues are they sharing that are of big concern to them?
Mental health, substance abuse. There's no question about it. That becomes a very big concern for a lot of people, and I think it touches all of our lives. Everybody who's listening to this right now, somehow, some way, if they don't have somebody that they know either internally themselves or somebody, a family member or friend, they're very fortunate to not have had to have dealt with this yet. I personally have, not only personally but professionally, 30 years in law enforcement and now 8 as a county executive. I see a lot on the professional side too. So it's a challenge. It's troubling, and no easy answer. But unfortunately, there is going to take the necessity of funding to help support that as well. So those are probably the bigger issues I think that come our way, and the politics. The uncertainty of the country and how we communicate, how we talk. The discord is unfortunate. I try to represent myself as a very nonpartisan person. I'm one that likes to try to figure out how do you support candidates that are there for the public good as opposed to their own personal gain, be it for getting reelected or trying to get something out of whatever that job entails. I try to push away the politics, and especially the partisan side of it. So, and I think that's what's been appreciated from the public, and the reason why I've been able to get reelected as not only the sheriff but as county executive 2 terms, working on my 3rd.
Okay, that's great. Well, we have a couple minutes left, so just in the last 2 minutes, why don't you wrap up and just let the voters know why they should vote for you on November 6th?
Yeah, it's the simplest way of putting it. There's no empty promises. It's just trying to get people to realize, you care, and you have a passion for this place you call home, because it's always been my home. I was born and raised here in Macomb County, and it's not about trying to figure out how do we promise them we're going to fix your roads and provide the services that you're looking for, but just a simple promise that I'm going to continue to maintain that highest level of integrity to try to do the best things on behalf of the public, maintaining the thing that's required out of government, and that's a balanced budget, but making sure that their money is being utilized in the right fashion. So, for me, it's just basically saying, you've trusted me before to do the right things, not only as a public official in law enforcement, but as a public official, as the first ever county executive, and I'm going to continue to make sure that you're proud of this place you call home, and especially with the guy who's supposed to be leading the county. I'm going to continue to do that.
Well, thanks so much for all you've done as our county executive, and best of luck with you.
Thank you, Melanie.
Or for you on November 6th. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm in the ShelbyTV studios today with Joseph Hunt, who's running for Macomb County Executive. Joseph, thank you for joining us today.
And thank you for having me here, Melanie.
Sure. So why don't you just start out by giving us a little bit of your background, both educational and professional, maybe where you live, how long you've been a Macomb County resident, just so that people get a little bit of a background on you.
Oh, sure. I'm 52 years of age. I was born in Detroit, moved to the city of Warren when I was younger, and after that moved to the city of Sterling Heights, and then back to the city of Warren. As far as my education and background, I went to Bishop Foley in Madison Heights, went to Ferris State College and got my associate's degree. I studied chemistry and biology, and then from there I've taken some classes at Macomb Community College, mainly business and economics, and then I followed up with the Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts because I was interested in communications media. Primarily, even though that was my education and background, I've always levitated towards the information technology. I've been involved with computers since about 1984, back when there was Windows 3.0 and the 286 machine, and I'm currently a network administrator with a managed service provider. So a lot of the issues that are in my background are basically helping people, and the technology has brought people together. One of the reasons that I'm actually running for county executive is I've studied how local governments treat their taxpayers, their citizens, and primarily after studying the county and the city of Warren for multiple years, I figured that I'd be the ideal replacement for the existing incumbent.
Okay, and what special skill sets do you have that maybe come from your professional or educational background that make you the best candidate for county executive?
Well, one of the things that I've always done is I've always attempted to communicate what my thoughts are. A lot of the issues associated with being a United States citizen, a taxpayer, and a homeowner is redress the grievances of government. So over the last 7 years, I've become the #1 audience participant with the county board. I have their information packets and basically go in and give them what I believe should be done as far as the functionalities of government according to the state laws. And in doing so, I know that I've irked a lot of the commissioners, but at the same time, I've developed a dialogue as far as to say, if you do this, this will maybe service the residents a little bit better. And taking a look at the budgets and the audit reports, it really seems to me, because I crunch numbers, I'm always somebody who looks at a problem and tries to actually merge towards a resolution. That's how the computer industry is, especially when you have a server down or if somebody can't get on their phone. It's like, what is the real problem as opposed to the story behind it? And then you merge towards a resolution. With government, that's supposed to be a representative form of government. When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, we say it to the Republic as opposed to a democracy that people are always rolling up their sleeves and fighting for. But at the same time, I've done a lot of study into the existing form of county government, which started with the charter back in 2011. And a lot of the issues are power struggles. There are lawsuits that are taking place with the board right now. There's a lot of ordinances that are in conflict. There's an ethics board that basically decides to make up their own rules of procedure, and a lot of the people that I speak out to on the campaign trail are really tired of this cult of personality, idolatrous leadership, and they just want the services to be returned to them with the least amount of excuses. We have the poison Lake St. Clair, which is basically being remediated through Save Lake St. Clair. Mike Attow has been doing a great job since I met him 2 years ago. They have a nice thing over at Macomb on October 8th, which is going to bring in the MDEQ to solve that issue. When it comes down to the roads really were never this bad until the charter created the Department of Roads. That took away the road commission. And basically, because Macomb is a charter county, there's only Bay, Oakland, and Macomb and Wayne, which are charter counties, but they don't seem to have the same problems that Macomb has, especially with these intergovernmental power struggles. I'm basically on the ballot because when I go in there, I will basically go through and associate all of the problems and then try to bridge the gap, the path of least resistance, and work with the Board of Commissioners because I understand what they're looking for in representing the people. It's a representative form of government where I don't see that happening from the administrative side.
Okay, and so you mentioned some of the issues that we have in Macomb County right now. If you had to pick one, what do you think is the most pressing need for Macomb County at the moment?
Well, you know, the thing behind the pressing issues, aside from the roads, you know, we had our strike on 696, and that's getting everybody up in arms, and the issue comes down to is where are we going to get the money to fix the road, and that's basically creating new revenue sources. The county of Macomb, basically, with its 670,000 residents, you have your taxpayers, and the tax base at this point is basically at $29 billion, and the main thing there is you have all these taxing jurisdictions. Not only do you have the MISD, but you have the 21 school districts. Depending on where you live, that's what you're paying in excess of your mortgage or your rent, that you're basically paying the spiff to the local jurisdiction, the state, in order to be able to, receive the services. Some areas excel, others do not. I look at it as basically the agricultural areas need to basically be paid attention to. Everything that I see above 26 Mile has been ignored, and that needs some tender loving care. And a lot of the issues that are associated with the cities, villages, and townships, especially south of Hall Road, we have home rule cities and we have township acts and stuff. Some of them do a great job, and a lot of it comes down to being able to be empowered by the voters to go there and speak with their local leaders in what I believe would be an adherence to state law in order to make Macomb more welcoming. Right now, with that FBI investigation, that's still the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of things that I know personally can all of a sudden shake the tree on the internal workings of the government, their unions, and basically the way that all of the money that is allocated towards professional services needs to go through the appropriate bid letting, and that's usually done with buying smaller items like paper clips, but it's not done with outsourcing of legal fees and a lot of the issues associated with these renewals on insurance. These are the same people 20 years later. So it's redefining government, and that's more along the lines of saying, I've been all around Macomb, especially when I ran for Public Works. There's 956 drains. Some of them don't exist, but a lot of the areas that I've been through, I see where the attention needs to be paid.
Okay, well, we have about 30 seconds left. Why don't you just tell the voters then why they should vote for Joseph Hunt?
Well, Joseph M. Hunt appears in the middle column at the very bottom after the state and congressional races. I believe that I have the background and the experience, and more so the stamina and youthful exuberance, in order to basically lead the county. And this is basically to, as we hear, drain the swamp. There's a variety of different appointed positions that I know that I would replace immediately, not necessarily with my friends, but people basically that have been involved in government for at least a dozen years that would basically redirect the way the mentality is in the county of Macomb. I'm going to rebrand it.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Joseph, for coming in today, and we
Thank you,
wish you
Melanie.
the best of luck on November 6th. Thank you.